Ancient couples? They fought too. About the exact same stuff we do. We picture ancient marriage as silent, obedient, arranged, quiet, no room for conflict, right? That's the picture we've all been sold. But historians dug up something very different. Court records, divorce contracts, complaint letters. Turns out marriage drama predates writing itself. So let's go fight by fight, era by era. First stop, 4,000 years ago, Mesopotamia. This is one of our first married couples on record. Married by contract, on an actual clay tablet. And that contract had rules. Real ones. Rules about what happens if he messed up. And believe me, people messed up constantly. Fight 1. Money he never sent home. Merchant husbands traveled for months at a time. Meanwhile, wives were left running the whole household. So when the silver stopped coming, she wrote him. Real letters survive. Real complaints. Real attitude. One wife straight up called her husband useless. In writing. On a tablet. Forever. Fight 2. She could actually sue him for it. This was a real court. The city of Nippur. One surviving case. A wife suing her husband for neglect. And courts sometimes actually ruled in her favor. 4,000 years ago. Divorce court. On the books. Next stop. Ancient Egypt. Same energy. This is a village called Deir el-Medina. It housed the artists who built royal tombs. And it kept incredibly detailed daily records, including one husband getting called out for ignoring his wife. He was so busy with work, he basically vanished. The world's first, you're always at work fight. Fight 2. Who actually owns the property? Egyptian wives could legally own land and goods, which meant real fights over who controlled what. Money fights. Even 3,000 years ago. Fight 3. Jealousy. And Egyptians wrote love poetry about it. Poems about longing. And poems about suspicion. Turns out jealousy is not a modern invention either. Now let's fast forward. Ancient Rome. Roman divorce didn't even need a courtroom. You could just declare it. Out loud. Which meant fights could end a marriage instantly. So arguments carried real, immediate stakes. No cooling off period. No slow build. Fight 2. We actually have this one in writing. Literally. Pompeii's walls are covered in ancient graffiti, including insults aimed at specific husbands and wives. Neighborhood gossip about who was fighting with who. Basically ancient social media drama. On a wall. Fight 3. Spending. Even famous Romans complained about it. One famous writer's letters gripe about his wife's spending. Though we need to talk about the budget fight. Now let's head north. The Viking Age. Norse law actually let wives file. Neglect was a valid legal reason. So was, yes, an unsatisfying marriage. Recorded. In actual Norse law codes. Icelandic sagas record wives goading husbands to fight. Sometimes literally shaming them into revenge. Not exactly a quiet, obedient household, was it? Last stop, medieval Europe. Village life. Church courts actually handled marital disputes here. And neighbors were called in to testify. Testify about what exactly? Loud, public arguments. Some couples fought over arranged marriages they resented. Others fought about, of course, the in-laws. Some things really never, ever change. Fight 2. Chores. Yes, actual recorded chore disputes. Who grinds the grain? Who tends the animals? Household labor disputes, recorded in real court files. So, money, in-laws, chores, jealousy, time apart. Sound familiar? It should. Fight 4. Her mother-in-law moved in. And never really moved out. In-laws had opinions. Loud ones. Caught in the middle, as usual. Some fights are just eternal, apparently. Fight 5. A second wife entered the picture. Jealousy, recorded in black and white. He had no good answer for that one. This one's aged surprisingly well. Fight 6. Whose tablet is this, exactly? Ownership disputes over household goods. A literal tug of war. Over paperwork. Some things never change, huh? Fight 3. The in-laws had notes. She was not here for it. He tried to keep the peace. Barely. The classic middleman position. Fight 4. A suspicious new face in town. She noticed everything. Immediately. He suddenly had nothing to say. Guilty body language, 4,000 years old. Fight 5. Who's really running this house? She had a system. He ignored it. He pulled rank instead of listening. That went about as well as you'd think. A management dispute, ancient Egyptian edition. Fight 4. The dowry, hers to keep. She wasn't giving it back easily. He had other plans for it. The oldest financial fight in the book. Fight 5. The neighborhood was talking. Gossip stung more than she let on. He stepped in to shut it down. Reputation was currency back then too. Fight 6. The hardest one. The kids. Neither one backing down easily. He held his ground. The child just watched them argue. Even that fight hasn't changed much. Fight 3. Who inherits the land? She wasn't backing off her claim. He wasn't budging either. Inheritance fights, older than you'd guess. Fight 4. Honor versus family, again. She begged him to stay out of it. But honor pulled harder than she could. A brutal choice, and not a rare one. One more small one, before we move on. Fight 5. He lost at their own game. She was not a gracious winner. Even Vikings had petty arguments. Fight 4. The priest heard everything. She listed every complaint. In order. He defended himself. Badly. Testimony, on record, for centuries. Fight 5. Fear does strange things to a marriage. She snapped first. He wasn't far behind. Hardship made everything sharper. Fight 6. The debts were piling up. She saw the number and panicked. Just two tired people, out of options. Money stress. Always the big one. So here's the actual twist. It's not that ancient couples never fought. It's that they fought about the same things we do. Money, in-laws, chores, jealousy, distance, neglect. Who does what? 4,000 years of humans arguing about the exact same stuff. The peaceful, obedient ancient marriage idea? A myth. People have always been people. Even in togas. Conflict isn't a modern problem. It's just a human one. Money. Every era. Every couple. Home and family. The same tension, over and over. Words and reputation. It followed them everywhere. Loyalty and pride. It never really goes away. Land, chores, who does what? The list barely changes. 5 couples. One long, repeating pattern. Different clothes. Same arguments. It's almost comforting, honestly. You are not more dysfunctional than history. History was just as messy. For 1,000 years of the same script. And somehow, people kept choosing each other anyway. That's the part worth remembering. Fights don't mean something's broken. They just mean you're human. So next time you argue about the dishes, just know somebody in Babylon did too. If this surprised you, there's a lot more like it. Stick around and find out what else history's been hiding.